I'm Rachel Sklar, co-founder of The List and Change the Ratio, and big fan of We, and big fan of this woman sitting next to me. I'm very, very, very excited to introduce Alexandra, don't call her Alex, Alexandra Wilkis Wilson, say that 10 times fast, the co-founder of Gilt Groupe, and most recently, as of this month, the new co-founder of Glam Squad, which I was so very excited to hear about. We're going to be talking about what it means to be a serial entrepreneur and how you figure out which of your fantastic ideas to actually drop everything and pursue. So I'm going to start with that. How do you figure out which of your fantastic ideas to drop everything and pursue?
It's a great question. Well, first of all, hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Is anyone a Gilt member? Yay!
I guess I know.
Does anyone have the Glam Squad app? No. So I'm totally cool. I'm not offended if you, while we're talking, go to the App Store and download our app. I'm not offended. No, I'm teasing. So what Glam Squad is, and this is an answer to your question, is delivering beauty services to your home or office in a really exciting way. And our vision for this company is to become our clients' beauty obsession.
And efficiency obsession.
And efficiency, high quality, affordable. Our price points are just a little bit more than a service like Drybar. And you can have a lot of us, I'm a professional, busy woman. I have 2 little kids. The greatest luxury in my life right now is time. I have so little time. So to be able to have a service, whether it's a blowout once a week, or you have an event that's really important to you, or a job interview, and be able to have a blowout in your home, or there are a lot of new services coming soon, such as nails in your home or your office, is really great. So we founded Gilt back in 2007, and that was 7 years ago. And so over these past 7 years, I've had the amazing pleasure and honor of meeting so many awesome entrepreneurs and getting involved in other startups, whether as a friend or a mentor or an advisor or an angel investor. And I love it. And I feel like I say this all the time. I think mentorship is a two-way street, because sometimes you can give lessons on experiences you've had, challenges you've had to overcome in your business, or kind of juggling and balancing everything. But you also learn a lot from new businesses, and that's been really exciting. So my story with Glam Squad is I started helping out the founding team. I went to college with 2 of the co-founders, and just got really, really, really excited about what this early stage company was trying to build. And so much so that I thought, I was actually thinking I was going to go into venture capital at some point in my career. And I kind of spoke to my friends at Gilt, spoke to the Glam Squad team, and was like, I just really want to do this. And I want to go back into early stage craziness where you are sleep deprived and all you can do is think about your business and how to grow it, and think big, but make sure you're executing on the small. And it's officially day 19 on the job. I officially took over as CEO beginning of September. So it's been awesome.
So, can you tell me a little bit about getting to the point where you have a company and you build it and you see it take off, and then so it takes off, and then you focus on getting it to a position where it can not run itself, because nothing runs itself, but you have practices in place, and there's an organization, and then you start having people who make decisions, and and then you get to the point where you're like, and now what? Like when you get to the point of, now what? Like, how long does it take before you decide that you want to jump back in again? And how did you decide what you wanted to do? Were you sort of like scribbling ideas on napkins? Were you looking around and thinking like, what do people need? Or like how does it happen? How did it happen for you?
Yeah, I think every person's story is different, and every startup trajectory is different. So in the case of Gilt, we were 5 co-founders, And over the years, over 7 years, we have just grown. We, as in Gilt, I'm still an advisor at Gilt, so I'm not completely separated from the company. I'll always be a part.
Are you wearing Gilt?
Of Gilt. Actually, I just got this shirt, which I'm really excited about because it's the Altuzarra for Target collection. So I just opened it up yesterday. So am I wearing Gilt? Actually, not Gilt today, but usually my handbag is. And so to answer your question, I think for me a lot of entrepreneurship. It's not about ideas. Everyone has ideas. Entrepreneurship to me is about teams, about people, and about execution. And we were very lucky in the story of Gilt to have an amazing team, whether it was our co-founders and then our founding team and the people that we hired along the way. It was very exciting in our early stages of Gilt. I had the good fortune of experiencing hypergrowth. So for about 2 years, we were in a situation there where our employee base was doubling every quarter, 25 employees to 50 employees to 100 employees to 200 employees, 400 employees. I mean, that's crazy. And very few companies experience that kind of intensity.
That is crazy. How many times did you move in a year?
We moved a bunch of times. We expanded locations, and then we were smart to take kind of bigger space than we needed and sublet and whatnot. And the amazing thing about hiring is that you hire people for potential, for hunger, for drive, for raw intelligence. When I interview people, I care about what's on paper and a resume and education, but that's not ultimately how I make a hiring decision. It's about people's passion. I guess it depends on the functional area, but the areas that I, over the years, have hired most closely for, which have to do more on the side of brand building, business development, partnerships, areas where the roles tend to be often externally facing. I hire for drive and hunger, and that's what's really fun about our early stage Glam Squad business is that everyone is hungry on the team. We have people who are so passionate about what we're building, and so it reminds me a lot of the really exciting early days of Gilt, which I'm sure many of you in the room, raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur or you're thinking about it. So you know what I'm talking about, that it's, every day is a small win. Emails that come, if you reach out to someone, you cold call, and when they respond, you feel so excited, like, oh my gosh, they responded to me, that's awesome. And every day is sometimes also hand-to-hand combat. Like, there are challenges. Startups are hard. So,
hand-to-hand combat.
It is, like putting out fires, whatever the case might be, managing supply, demand, managing inventory, whatever it is that your business is all about. But there's nothing like the thrill of a startup. I say this all the time. It's like a roller coaster. It's the highest highs in your life, but also, not everything goes smoothly 24/7. You can hit the lowest lows.
I love that phrase. Every day is a small win. And by the way, if you're tweeting, she is Gilt Alexandra on Twitter. Today, tomorrow she may be Glam Alexandra.
I don't know.
But today
that's what she suggested, Alex. And I was like, no,
yeah,
that was like, when I was a little girl. No.
So we're clear. We're clear. No one call her Alex. I want to pinpoint. You said the word hungry and hunger a couple times, and that. That really typifies a serial entrepreneur, and particularly your own career path, because it's not just that you've built this giant business and now you're starting again, but you're an advisor to a whole bunch of different places. I think you're an advisor to Birchbox and a number of other startups. You're an advisor at Techstars. You're an investor. So you're clearly not resting on your laurels. So when you are a person who's hungry and the world is a candy store and you're a kid, how do you figure out how to allocate your time, or do you just jump in and figure out that it'll all work?
It's really hard. So I think by nature, I'm a hyper-organized person. I'm a little OCD about my calendar. I have, if you look at my calendar, there are 3 colors going. My kids' schedule, my work schedule, my non-exact work schedule, my extracurricular. I'm on a board. I'm a public company board. I'm on nonprofits. I mean, my life is crazy.
What are the colors?
Green for my kids, red for Gilt, purple for Glam Squad, and I have a hard time saying no in general to things. I get so excited by people, by ideas, and so something that I'm trying to just be more disciplined about is trying to focus. Even like I'm here today with you because I thought this was important, but are there a million other things I could be doing right at this moment? Of course there are, and same for all of you. So I think it's just prioritizing what's most important to you. You can't do everything well. And I think as I kind of progress in my career, it gets clearer to me what I do care about, and things that I just have to say no to.
Did Glam? I actually should know this, and I don't. So, has Glam Squad raised around? Were you part of the raise, or?
Funny you should ask, because
okay.
we got a term sheet today.
Oh, good. Okay.
But no, we had raised a pretty large seed round, and we were just in very, very quick Series A discussions. So I think one thing that's really interesting, I remember when we started Gilt, and two of us, Alexis and I, were obviously women, and three males, and we didn't have that many role models back in 2007 of women who had started kind of consumer tech companies. And so like the favorite question that I feel like we always would get on panels is like, how hard is it to raise money as women, and kind of going, and it's hard. There are challenges there, absolutely. But I think now there have been so many awesome companies, and many of them built in New York City by female co-founders and CEOs, and they're getting funded from awesome VCs. And so today, 7 years later, as I'm kind of starting to go through this process, what's really fantastic is that the feedback I'm getting from VCs, and I've kind of met and worked with a lot of them over the way, is like, your company could only be run by a woman, and it wouldn't work if a man were running it. And so glad that you joined this company, and now we want to back you. And I'm like, whoa, things have really, really changed. And that's inspiring to me, and I think that's all a result of all the work that we're doing together, and so many incredible, powerful female leaders and mentors, whether it's from people like you and all the work you're doing, and Sheryl Sandberg and Lean In, and I mean whatever your point of view is on all the discussions, at least all these awesome discussions are happening.
And that does sometimes feel very new. I'm just amused, like imagining the VC who would try to mansplain to a group of women about blowouts. I'm just enjoying that visual just for a second. But I'm pleased to hear that. I mean, I'm not surprised actually. My question was going to be like, how different was it this time around? And was it? I guess I'm not entirely sure how the fundraising process worked at Gilt, but like in 2007, did you notice that, and did you notice the difference this time? I think I'm learning every day. I'm learning. I'm sure we all are, and I think venture capitalists do like investing in people or teams or parts of teams that have a proven track record. And so the fact that I could say, I've not only the Gilt story, which is a very special story in terms of what we built and how many jobs we created, and how we did change shopping behavior, but all the other startups that I would sit and I know you do this too. That's how we know each other. But sitting in rooms with entrepreneurs, spending many hours of my weeks, my months, my days, just listening to all the challenges that entrepreneurs are having. So even if I didn't build a business that has to do with the real estate industry, I advised a company that did. And so I spent a lot of time learning about a lot of the different challenges that entrepreneurs are facing. And so now kind of going through the fundraising process, I feel like I just have a lot more knowledge and experience. And this is the first time I've been a CEO, so that's new for me, and that's exciting. And I think I get bored very easily. I don't like doing the same thing twice. So for me, the fact that I'm now leading a company is incredibly exciting for me, and I feel like I can pinpoint over the years all of the people who I've worked for, and can kind of compartmentalize and think about the traits that I've liked in different people, their leadership styles, their communication styles, decision-making processes, and I'm trying to kind of channel all of this great learning that I've had the good fortune to observe, and trying to create that for our little company. Can I ask a weird and specific question about being a CEO? So now you're a CEO. Do you sometimes like walk in the street, you're like, I'm a CEO, or like, did you put that shirt on? You're like, this is a shirt that a CEO would wear. Like, is that like
absolutely not?
I feel like that. I like doing that. Like, does that, it's like in happening a role. You're like, I'm a CEO.
No, at all. In fact, I'm like, and it's actually hilarious because now I feel pressure to like, oh my gosh, I can't go to work without my hair being blown out, and I have to put lipstick on. And then, anytime anyone comes through our office, they're like, I put on lipstick for you. And I'm like, you didn't need to do that. And, everyone feels pressure now interacting with Glam Squad. I'm like, no pressure, we're all cool. That's why we exist, because it's a stress. Getting ready is stressful, and we're just trying to make it easier and more user-friendly and accessible for everyone.
Honestly, I have 3 separate statement necklaces in my purse over there. I was trying to figure out, and then I just was like, forget it, I'm wearing the bracelet. It's very stressful. But I want to pivot a little bit into what you look for as an investor, because you're also an angel investor. So what kind of companies do you like to invest in? What do you, what gets you excited? What's your investing strategy? Are you interested in like the company or like the people? Like where does it, what's your jam?
So I think this is an area I'm learning in, and I'm realizing that I can add the most value to teams and to businesses that I inherently understand. I'm good at kind of thinking through consumer behavior. The B2B world is less intuitive to me, and so for me, it's first and foremost, but especially if I'm looking at really early stage companies, I'm investing in the person, in the team, and I've realized, and not every company I've invested in is here today. So I've learned if you're kind of picking like awesome people, idea so versus like awesome person, if you kind of think which is more important, the idea or the person. Absolutely, it is the person, because the idea can be tweaked, and if it's a really smart entrepreneur, they'll make changes around based on data and results. And in the tech world, you just say that we're pivoting, and everybody's fine with that. You don't really have to say like we were wrong, and then we have to change. It's like
and then write a blog post on failure.
Yeah, no, it's like we pivoted, and everyone's like, cool, you figured it out. For me, it's really about the people, and the better you know the person, I think the more confident you can be in that investment and the growth. But I get excited about things in areas that I love. So it could be beauty, fashion. There are other areas like education, music, food. That world.
Now that you have kids, did that when you had kids and now you're a mom? So has that opened up your eyes to like this whole other market and this whole other world? Like, are you interested in mom-focused startups at all? You don't have to be. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't actually think I'm an involved. Oh no, I am. WeSpring. Yes, I'm definitely.
You're WeSpring.
Yeah, I love
WeSpring.
I do too. Yeah, I think when your whole life changes when you become a parent in every possible way. Your thinking does, how you, everything changes. So for those of you thinking about kids and you're like, oh, it'll be the same. It's not the same, but it only gets better, and it, it's the most incredible thing ever to be a parent. But yeah, I'm a consumer of so many like kind of children's related companies and brands and whatnot, and then blogs, and it's great.
One last question before we invite some questions. So if anybody in this room was going to pitch you, or like what kind of constructive advice would you give them? Don't swarm her after, but just generally for future reference. About how best to approach you.
So in general, this is like my advice. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, but I feel like sometimes women need to hear it more. I say this to my team a lot. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that applies to everything, whether you're in kind of a salesy role or business development or you're fundraising. Like, nothing is going to come to you in life. Like I really, whether it's Prince Charming or, the lottery or whatever it is, like nothing just like falls in your lap like from the heavens. So you have to go out there and go after it and ask for it. And it's so funny sometimes when you just ask for something that seems completely crazy, whatever it is. If you're negotiating in a deal, if you're asking an investor, they're like, well, how much do you want? And you're like, I'd honestly be happy with like X amount. But if you, throw it out there, say like 10 times that number, and if you're like, 10 times that number you'd really be happy with, and they're like, okay. I mean, that happens. Like, that really happens. So I would say shoot for the stars, shoot for the moons, be confident, be yourself. Don't try to be like masculine because you think investors want to see you being masculine. Like, be authentic. Know your numbers, know your business inside and out. And if you don't know the answer to a question, don't fake it. I think I'll get back to you, or I have the data, or be honest. Like, you know what? It's a really good question. We hadn't kind of looked at that situation that way, but we'll crunch the numbers and, be passionate too. Have fun. You only live once.
So clearly, you don't have to try and be masculine because this is what a CEO looks like. All right, so now we can open the floor to questions.
Hi, my name is Felina. I have a quick question with regards to your inspirations in becoming an entrepreneur. Did you always know that you wanted to follow this type of career path, or was it something that happened at some point that inspired you to lead a more entrepreneurial life?
I think like life just kind of happens to you. It's when you're filling out a form, whether it's customs or whatever form it might be, and they ask you like career or profession. I mean, it was only a few years ago that I actually started writing entrepreneur. Like I used to write fashion, I used to write finance, and then I'd be like tech, whatever it might be. So I didn't really think of myself as an entrepreneur, but I've always been entrepreneurial. So I was the little girl, I grew up in New York City, like I was the little girl who would be, playing with my whatever toys, and yes, I played with Barbies, and I loved Monopoly, but I love lemonade stands. I was like, this is awesome. I can like make something, I can sell it. I'd make, while I was bored, if I didn't have customers, I'd make bracelets, I'd stack them up my arm, I'd sell them off my arm, like, so yeah, I was like an entrepreneurial person. But prior to Gilt, my resume actually didn't look entrepreneurial at all. I worked for big companies, I worked in investment banking, I worked for Louis Vuitton, I worked for Bulgari. But I think in all of those different type of corporate environments, I was always thinking of how to improve things. And like, oh, wouldn't it be better if we did this or changed that? Or, I think I have both like my mother's quite creative, my father's more of a business person, so I think I can kind of have I grew up right brain, left brain. But I think you'll know in your heart of heart if you're entrepreneurial. And there's so many types of entrepreneurs. There are people who come up with ideas and then move on, and there are people who can take an idea and turn it around and improve upon it and make it efficient. And the world needs all types of entrepreneurs.
This is kind of playing on that question as well. Do you think there's anything that we can do to encourage young girls to be more entrepreneurial?
I think there are a lot of things that are I'd love to see, first of all, more young women learning technology and learning to code, and there are all these great organizations now that are making really important strides, whether it's Change the Ratio or Girls Who Code, and they're I think that's really helpful. And I think today we do have more role models of really cool companies that have been started by women that young girls probably use and check out, whether they shop from them or they go to Birchbox to get kind of beauty inspiration, or Rent the Runway to dream about what dress will they rent for their prom, that sort of thing. So I think a lot of it starts with role models. TV shows like Shark Tank or whatnot are important, and I think the media really, it'd be great to see some interesting movies come out about female entrepreneurs. I think that would probably inspire a lot of younger girls to dream big. It's all about having big dreams.
Unfortunately, we don't have time for any more questions, but you can tweet at Gilt Alexandra. #CEO, and I'm sure she will respond to your questions. Now you have to, because I just said it in Zoom.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Your journey has been so amazing, and I can't wait for you to make me glam.
Thank you. Any day. Every day.